My fiancée texted, "I hired a lawyer to figure out how your inheritance will be handled after we get married." I replied, "Smart." Then I called my dad, explained the situation, and temporarily removed myself from the will. Asterisk, I'm 29. Male, and got engaged to Emily, 27, about 8 months ago. We'd been together for 3 years, living together for a year and a half. Everything seemed perfect. We split bills, shared life goals, and generally were just a team. My family liked her, her family liked me. The wedding was set for next spring, and honestly, I thought nothing could shake us. Here's the context you need. My dad, Tom, owns a small but thriving construction business. Nothing like tech startup money, but over 35 years, he built it from scratch. My grandfather left some property when he passed 5 years ago, and along with my parents' savings and investments, there's probably around $2.8 million in assets. I have a younger sister, Samantha, so eventually everything would be divided. Emily knew about the business and the family's comfort level. I never flaunted it, but I also never hid it. My own salary as a project manager at a local construction firm is decent but not flashy. We lived within our means, kept our life simple. That Tuesday, I was at work when the text came through. "Hey babe, had a really productive lunch meeting with a lawyer today. Wanted to understand how inheritance laws work after marriage. Super interesting stuff. We should probably discuss estate planning soon." I felt my chest tighten. She went behind my back to meet with a lawyer about my family's money without even telling me. I replied, "Smart," but my mind was racing. I called my dad immediately. "Hey Dad, I need to talk about something. Emily just texted that she met with a lawyer about inheritance laws and how it would work after marriage." There was a long pause. Then he said, "I see. What do you want to do? Can we write me out temporarily? Just until I figure this out." By that evening, my dad had already contacted his lawyer. Within 48 hours, I was officially removed from the will. All assets would go to Samantha if something happened to our parents. The legal structure was airtight but reversible. Meanwhile, Emily came home that night chattering about wedding centerpieces, completely oblivious to what I'd done. I just smiled, nodded, and acted normal, waiting to see what would happen next. Thursday night, she was on her laptop when her phone rang. I overheard her through the door. "What do you mean there's nothing? That can't be right. Check again. What about the grandfather's estate?" She emerged, pale as paper. "Everything okay?" I asked casually. "Yeah, just work stuff," she muttered. Friday morning, she finally slipped. "We should really talk about getting a prenup," she said over breakfast. Sure, what brought this on? Just thinking about our future. Making sure we're both protected. Protected from what? I asked, raising an eyebrow. She fumbled with her coffee mug, trying to play it casual. "You know, just general protection." I knew immediately where this was headed. "Okay, let's both get lawyers and draft something fair." Her face fell. "Both, yes, independent representation. That's how prenups work." She dropped it, but I could see the wheels turning. The next week was revealing. Emily started dropping weird hints about finances, subtly questioning family planning, succession in the business, and whether my sister could handle things responsibly. Every time, I gave vague answers. "Dad's got it handled. Samantha's fine. I like my job." Then came Sunday dinner at her parents' house. What I thought would be a casual family meal turned into an interrogation about our wedding budget. Her mother, Linda, began, "We wanted to discuss the wedding budget. Given your family's situation." "What situation?" I asked, confused. Emily jumped in, trying to cover. "Mum, stop. You can expect his family to contribute more," Linda said. "Traditionally, the groom's family covers. We're not traditional," I interrupted. "Emily and I are paying for our own wedding." Her brother Kyle scoffed. "Must be nice keeping all that family money while your future wife struggles." I froze. Struggles? Emily makes $65,000 a year. We're doing fine. But with what you'll inherit? Linda trailed off. I cut her off. "I'm not inheriting anything. I was removed from the will earlier this week to protect my family's assets. It's temporary, and it doesn't affect us." The explosion was immediate. Emily's voice was sharp. "What? When were you going to tell me?" "Why would I? It's my family's money. It doesn't belong to me yet. It's not about us." She sat back, stunned, while I realized the truth about what I'd just discovered. The mask had slipped. That night, Emily went to stay at her friend Claire's apartment. I stayed home, trying to process what had just happened. I couldn't shake the image of her voice, sharp and demanding, as if she had some claim to my family's wealth that didn't exist. It felt surreal, like the woman I thought I knew had been wearing a mask, and now I could finally see the edges peeling away. Sunday afternoon, she returned, and I braced myself. What came next was what I now call the full court press. She apologized repeatedly, tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. I see how this looked. I just got scared about our future," she said, voice trembling. She explained that a friend's husband had left her destitute after a divorce, and that fear had spiraled into panic. She said she wasn't a gold digger, that she loved me, but her actions were driven by fear, not greed. The week that followed was surreal. Emily tried to make it up to me, cooking my favorite meals, showering me with affection, and constantly reminding me how much she loved us. She even said, "You're right about the prenup. Let's both get lawyers and do this properly. But you should get back in your parents' will. It's not fair to Samantha." I froze. My own fiancé was now trying to manipulate my family's decisions, even after I had taken steps to protect them. I stayed silent, letting her words hang in the air. Then things took a darker turn. Her mother, Linda, started texting me incessantly, guilt-tripping me about how devastated Emily was. "How could you not trust your future wife? Marriage is about sharing everything." Her father, Robert, later showed up at my workplace, leaning in with that same condescending, self-righteous air. "You need to fix this," he said. "Marry my daughter and stop this nonsense, or everyone will see what kind of man you are." I stared at him. "You mean the man who found out his fiancée was planning to inherit his family's money before we even set a wedding date? Fine, tell everyone. Show them her emails, her consultations with a lawyer, the messages with her brother. Let the truth come out." After he left, Emily's manipulation escalated. I found emails she had printed, showing that 3 weeks before meeting my dad's lawyer, she had already been planning strategy sessions with her own attorney. She had been calculating, strategizing, and plotting access to assets that were never hers. My stomach turned as I realized this wasn't a spontaneous concern, it was premeditated. When she returned home that evening, I confronted her. "You consulted a lawyer about my inheritance 3 weeks before even meeting him. This wasn't just research. This was planning." Her face went pale. She stammered, It doesn't matter. What matters is that I was thinking about our future. I shook my head. No. What matters is you were strategizing to gain control over my family's wealth. That's not about love. That's about money. She started crying, but it felt different this time, more desperate than remorseful. I grew up scared. My mum struggled. My family never had stability. Then I found out about you and your family, and I thought, finally, I wouldn't have to worry anymore. Emily, I said softly, I fell in love with you, not your fear, not your fantasies about my family's money. If money is what makes you feel safe, that's not love. That's planning a takeover. Her hands shook as she gripped mine. I do love you. I swear I do, but... Her voice broke. The money made me feel secure. I pulled my hands away. Secure enough to plan to inherit assets that don't belong to you. That's betrayal, not love. Pack a bag. Go stay with your parents or Claire's. You have a week to figure out your living situation here. This is my apartment too. Your name isn't on the lease. She screamed, sobbing, accusing me of destroying our future together. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I had to separate myself from someone whose love was conditional on money. The next morning, she escalated. She brought a U-Haul and 3 movers to take what she claimed was her share of our furniture. I opened the door, calmly pointing out that she had no legal right. The movers froze, unsure of what to do. She tried to push past me into my apartment. I called 911. By the time the police arrived, she had fled, leaving the U-Haul running in the parking lot. For 2 months, the fallout continued. Emily moved back in with her parents, spinning a story to friends that I had financially abused her and manipulated the law. Her new fiancé, someone she met on a dating app, is already 51, recently divorced, and owns a car dealership. Meanwhile, I've documented everything. Ignoring her family's repeated attempts to provoke me, my cousin, a lawyer, reminded me, truth is a defense. And indeed, every message, every email, every lawyer consultation she initiated was preserved. It became crystal clear. Emily loved the idea of my inheritance more than she loved me. I went back to my life, slowly processing the betrayal. Therapy helped. I started dating someone new, Grace, a pediatric nurse, who insisted on splitting the bill on our first date. Refreshing, empowering, healing, and the ring. Sold it. Bought a killer home theater setup. Every time I watch a movie on my 75-inch old, I smirk, thinking about how Emily's greed inadvertently gave me this joy. Looking back, the red flags were there all along the way. She casually made jokes about being a kept woman, the sudden fascination with my dad's business, the entitlement cloaked under affection. But now, hindsight is perfect vision to anyone reading this. If someone starts meeting with lawyers about assets that aren't theirs yet, run. If a partner's family treats your hard-earned success like a lottery ticket, run. Trust your gut. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. By midweek, the tension had reached a boiling point. Emily's social media campaign had started quietly but quickly escalated. She posted stories about me being a narcissistic, controlling ex who illegally evicted her and hid assets. Friends and family shared, commented, and it spiraled fast. I did nothing publicly. My sister, Samantha, however, didn't stay silent. She went nuclear. Screenshots of Emily's lawyer emails, Kyle's Facebook messages, and the photo evidence of the U-Haul incident went online with a simple caption: "When you try to rob my family, then play victim." Comments exploded. Friends of Emily's started quietly deleting supportive posts. The truth, documented in black and white, was now visible to everyone. Her parents called me repeatedly. "You've ruined her reputation. How could you let your sister do this?" They cried over the phone. I calmly explained that Samantha was protecting her family's assets from someone who had already tried to manipulate them. "The truth is a defense," I reminded them. I refused to remove any posts because the posts weren't lies. They were fact. Then came the day Emily showed up at my apartment with a U-Haul again. Only this time she came with 3 movers, claiming the furniture was hers. I opened the door, calmly stating that she had no legal right. The movers hesitated. Emily tried to push past me into my apartment. I didn't flinch. I called 911. By the time police arrived, she had bolted, leaving the U-Haul running in the parking lot. After that weekend, I felt a strange sense of relief. The chaos had peaked, and I finally had space to breathe. Emily had moved back with her parents permanently. She spun the story that I had manipulated her, hid assets, and emotionally abused her, none of which was true. Meanwhile, her new fiancé had already entered the picture. I looked him up: 51, divorced, car dealership owner. I smirked. Good luck with that. My father eventually reinstated me in the will, but this time with protective measures. All inheritance would go into a trust that I could not access for 5 years post-marriage. He joked about it. Best $2.8 million I never had to spend on a divorce. I laughed. Therapy had helped me process the betrayal, and I finally felt a sense of control over my life again. A month later, I started dating again. Grace, a pediatric nurse, was refreshingly different. Independent, kind, and confident, she insisted on splitting the bill on our first date, proving immediately that she valued partnership over entitlement. It was the exact contrast I needed. Looking back, the signs were all there. Emily's casual jokes about becoming a kept woman, her sudden fascination with my dad's business, the way she commented on expensive items, everything was a warning hidden under a mask of affection. Once the engagement gave her a sense of leverage, the mask slipped, revealing her true priorities. Now, every time I sit in my living room watching movies on my 75-inch-old, I smile. The home theater, bought with the money from selling the engagement ring, is a reminder. Petty, maybe. Satisfying. Absolutely. It symbolizes clarity, boundaries, and the consequences of misplaced trust. To anyone listening, trust your gut. If your partner starts consulting lawyers about assets that aren't theirs, if they or their family treat your hard-earned wealth as a lottery ticket, run fast. When someone shows their true colors, subtly believe them the first time. The lesson is simple. Love is not conditional on money, security, or inheritance. Real love values you as a person, not your potential future wealth. My experience with Emily was a harsh, painful lesson, but it taught me boundaries, awareness, and how to value genuine connection over entitlement. And as for Emily, her family still occasionally sends messages. I document everything but don't respond. Life moves on. I moved into a new chapter: therapy, clarity, and someone who sees me for me, not for my inheritance. The past drama is a story now, a cautionary tale about trust, greed, and the importance of protecting yourself emotionally and legally before love turns toxic. In the end, the $2.8 million was never mine, but the clarity, self-respect, and freedom I gained from this ordeal. Priceless.